All right, good evening. I'm going to call this meeting of the Birch Incorporation Association to order at 6 p.m. For the record, today is June 18th, 2026. And this meeting was noticed to BBIA members in advance with the meeting date, time, location, agenda via email and on our website. Tonight, we're going to try to follow Bob's rules of order, Robert's rules of order, as referenced in the bylaws. For any item requiring action, we'll use a motion, second discussion, and vote process. Before we begin, I want to clarify bylaw amendment voting eligibility. So BBI membership is open to anyone who lives or who is at least 18 years old, who lives in, owns property, or operates a business within the proposed limits of the city, and who is registered with contact information at a general meeting. So that's that little sign in right there. If you want to vote on these bylaw amendments, just fill that out, verify that you have an interest in Birch Bay, and only BBI members present at the meeting may vote. So with that, we'll move on to roll call. Matt Berry, chair here. Vice chair Lisa Guthrie. Here. Treasurer Charmaine Burnett. Here. Secretary Linda Stringham. Here. Michael Rutkowski. Here. Pauline Nefsey has family in town, so she couldn't make it. Jason Boverard. Jan Barnes. Here. Patrick Allesey. Here. Jonathan Mallahan. Here. Chuck Kinzer. Here. Yorkson, let me know he couldn't make it. Carolyn Sherwin. And Jeff Frank said he wasn't going to be here.
And
6, 7, 8.
I love to introduce people to Pat and Pat Allesey. Well, this is Pat Anderson, who's married to Pat Anderson.
I was the counsel for the 1991 Incorporation Commission.
Fantastic. I'd love it if you told us a little bit about that during our open session. It'd be nice to hear something.
All I can say is it went down in flames.
All right, for the record, we've got 9 steering committee members present. I don't see any online, so that does constitute a quorum. All right, moving on to committee updates. I believe executive committee was the only committee that met in the past month. We met on June 8th, Monday. I think mostly we discussed how to run this meeting. There was also, Chuck had requested a change to the website and to the report, so we processed that. Thank you, Chuck. And anything else? Did I forget anything from that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh. Moving right along.
I think maybe we should do finance committee.
Oh, thank you. Charmin, want to present finance?
Absolutely. Treasurer's report from May 21st to June 18th. We had income 0. We did get 10 cents for our dividend, so our revenue was 10 cents. Expenses, we had North Bay Community Church check for April and May of $100 each. Constant Contact, which is our email program, it's $88.13. We have our mailbox, $25, and the Zoom program at $104.44. So our expenses were $417.57, but we have an account balance left of $2,241.11, and we probably have a check from C shop that has not been deposited. Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you. Right. Thank you for reminding me of the finance report. Open session, public comment. So this is an opportunity for members, Bart.
We can do the timer.
Yeah, members of the public to address the association on matters relevant to BBIA. We ask you to please state your name for the record. You got 3 minutes to share anything you'd like. Is there anyone who would like to address the group? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Carol Rice. I live in Birch Bay Village, and this whole thing is going to be dead on arrival if we do not counter the what do you call it? The thing that was done outside of the review. Yeah, that's the study. And you presented your own last time, and you presented it in relation to the fact that the other one, the one that was done outside, was not, didn't start from the same place. And that you need to present that to the community. On next door, right after that, there were a number of people, and you probably all saw it, that said they're just saying that theirs is better than the other, but there's no proof, and we'll go with the one from outside. So that's the one people are looking at. They're not looking at your rebuttal. And unless something is presented very concisely in as few words as possible to the community, it's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna make a comment. I would add-
This is,
Not-
well, we try not to do unless someone has
Yeah.
a direct question or something.
Yeah.
Well, I got a
People
question.
talk.
An important question, I think.
Sure.
Are you saying we had the whole presentation here at a community meeting which people attended? And it's now online for people to find and we let people know on Nextdoor to where to go look at it? What other suggestion would you have that we haven't done?
I would suggest that you have something. Look, 1 to 2 pages max.
Yeah.
That you print out and really pass around, somehow find a way to pass it around the community.
Okay, good thought.
Because people aren't going to those sites.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Carolyn.
I mean, I think it's really important. And I think the fact that they didn't start in the same place is very, very important. You explained that very well last time.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Pat, would you mind sharing a little bit about your experience?
My experience?
Yeah, tips, suggestions.
I was city attorney in Snoqualmie for 32 years. And I was the legal counsel for the 1991
Yes.
Incorporation Committee. And as you know, that didn't turn out so well. I've been a Birch Bay resident full-time, I don't know, for like 13 years now. I live on Morgan Drive, right across the street.
Well, thanks. All right.
I don't know when I should say this, but I wanted to share some feedback as a listener at our presentation. I wasn't here physically, I listened from Maine.
Yeah.
So I'm Jan Barnes. I'm
Number
a-
5, so if we're done with public comment, then we move on to steering
So
committee.
I'm not public, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
No.
no, it's
special.
it's perfect. It's perfect because we added in some extra things in this
Oh, okay.
agenda. So
I should.
unless there's anybody else who would like to speak, would anyone from not a committee member like a few minutes to address the group? Seeing none, if there's something comes up throughout the meeting, you got a question or something, don't hesitate to raise your hand. We run a pretty busy meeting. But we did add an agenda item, steering committee member comments to give steering committee members opportunity to talk about anything else. Perfect transition. Jan, yeah.
Jan, would you like to start?
Thank you, Jan Barnes. I listened from remotely. I was out of the state and didn't have access to the screen, or maybe I did have the screen too. But I mostly listened to the presentation. And I think we missed an opportunity to really say why we did that study. We did the study because the county was promised numerous scenarios of incorporation. They presented how many in their preliminary presentation in December? 4. And then the final, they only presented 1, the one which happened to be unfeasible from a financial impact. That's why we stepped up and said, we didn't get what the county didn't get on behalf of us, what we were pledged or contracted to receive. And because people are like, why did you do this report? I read the social media also, and I read the comments, even in the Northern Light, was kind of like, well, we went on our own to create an alternate. It's like, no, we wanted to finish the job. The job was not finished. And I think we missed an opportunity to really drive that home in that meeting. And then the media picked up from whatever we presented at that meeting. So that's what I wanted to share.
Okay,
Thank you.
I guess I could be.
Yeah, it's time for you.
I'll be public. Say, when we went to have the county do the study, I was worried. Because I knew that the county does not want to lose us. They didn't want to lose us in 91.
Right.
We're a good, strong tax base for them. And do you remember being at the meeting upstairs when Birch Bay Village was having their general meeting and they invited us to give our presentation and we went and gave a presentation? Everybody in the room gave a huge applause and everything. Oh, we felt so good. And I asked, do you have any questions? No, they didn't have any questions. That bothered me a lot. Because I like people interacting. I like questions. And I realized they wound up fighting Incorporation. Why? Because the county said, oh, we've collected money to do a road, but we're not gonna improve the road to Birch Bay Village because you guys will owe us for it. And then Birch Bay Village fought Incorporation along with the fire district because they were worked over by the city of Blaine. They want to see these cities around. Were fought by a group called the Rural Preservation Community.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. And I could name a couple other ones. One, and they didn't want to lose Birch Bay's tax base. Pioneer County wanted their tax base. They were one of them. So, yes, Birch Bay needs to be a city, so we have control of what happens here in Grove.
Here, here.
4th of July is coming. We declared our independence from England. We need to declare our independence from part of the county. And yes, you're worried about the money. Everybody's worried about money. You know. Money is for handling limited resources. So money is limited. We just have to be smart with it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Scott. Anyone else like to make any comments? Lisa?
Yeah. I just wanted to give everybody an update on my unique zip code for Birch Bay effort. I did, at the last day of the 60 days, receive a letter which actually came from, Washington DC, versus the local, management that the paperwork said it would. But anyway, they gave me 45 days to appeal, and that time is counting. Basically, they said no. However, they did offer a temporary solution, administrative solution, they call it. They can allow us to use Birch Bay as the last line for residents in this area to allow for community identity. To use the alternative last line, residents can list the mailing last line of their address as Birch Bay, Washington 98230. When the addressing validation occurs at USPS Blaine, Washington, that would still be the last line seen. So I don't really understand that sentence, which I've asked for clarity on, but to make Birch Bay the city seen with USPS addressing validation, we would need a list of all addresses for the community of Birch Bay from Whatcom County. We would then be able to code the preferred city for the address into the database. So I've asked for clarification. What I believe that means is such that when we're doing online forms and you put in 98230, it defaults back to Blaine, that we would have the option. It might say Blaine and Birch Bay. You could select Birch Bay. But anyway, I have attempted several departments in Whatcom County to start to get the list of addresses and have meet the requisite brick wall that seems to always occur. So, but I'm continuing the fight. So
Nothing's different from 91.
And because we do have the ability to get that list from title companies and things like that. Obviously professional mailing companies do it, but the letter does say that it needs to come from Whatcom County. So that's what I'm
trusting.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. So anyway, if anybody has ideas with regard, wants to see the letter, has different ideas with regards to an appeal, I'm open for business on that, and we'll just keep you posted.
Say, why is that important? Well, see this? One of my sons ordered that for me. He arrived no time at all. Oh, see this wonderful little thing here?
Got the
Yeah, you
same.
got one like it. One of my other sons orders that, arrived in the mail. Oh, yes, taxes were paid on it. We're not too sure where the tax money went. It could have been to Blaine. They need it. It's important. We form a city, we draw the lines, the money comes to us.
Mhm.
But I don't wanna be a money grabber because that's terrible.
And thank you, Pat. Any other comments?
I did think the timing of the county talking about their long-term budget challenges, subsequent to the feasibility study being published was really interesting. And it did occur to me that if the county was severely concerned about their budget deficit and they read their feasibility study they funded and thought that Birch Bay was a money loser, that they might be taking some steps to support incorporation. And so to me, that just suggests that they don't believe the feasibility study personally.
Thanks, John.
One other thing, unless there's anyone else, I'll close out, steering committee member comments, but I don't know if people are aware, there was a little bit of media coverage over it, but the Whatcom County Council is going to be, voting on several ordinances related to fireworks next Tuesday, the 23rd, which some of them would effectively constitute a ban on fireworks if there was any sort of burn ban, which there always is in the middle of June, or like distance from homes, 100 feet from homes would eliminate it from some areas of the bay. And then limiting the days from the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th to just the 4th between 6 p.m. and I think midnight. So that was something that when we started this group, we had some negative feedback that we just wanted to get rid of fireworks or this or that. If we become a city, we'll get rid of fireworks. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up as, whether or not we incorporate decisions are being made that affect us. If you care about that, either way, go to the county council meeting in Bellingham and speak your voice.
That's
will be
one
voted
problem.
on something,
Decisions for here are made in Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, with that, we can move on to approval of the minutes. They were sent out by Michael Stringham on June 14th. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes at this time. I make that motion. Michael Borkowski made a motion. Is there a second?
Lisa will second.
Seconded. Any discussion, necessary changes to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you very much. With that, we can get into our meeting topic. So we have 2 sets of bylaw amendments. Did these get passed out or did folks grab them on the way in?
Up on the table if you missed them.
Michael Stringham submitted one set of bylaw amendments. Chuck submitted another. Should we go over these, maybe explain the reasoning a little bit, and then we can talk about motions to approve or deny? Michael,
you want to
talk about yours?
So I did talk about this at the last meeting, and
This would be the 2-page one.
yeah, so it is the full set of bylaws, and you can see some highlights that kind of guide us in terms of what our process is right now. And then you see some what I call red line, and where a word is struck in red, that was the original. And where a word is added in red, it's either a replacement or an addition. And so the keys are under association membership, that the membership shall meet at least annually instead of quarterly. And the reason for that is because we're entering a phase now where we've agreed to go forward to promote incorporation. And our meetings, the quarterly meetings and the monthly meetings of the steering committee, they just don't coordinate very well with that kind of a pace of trying to move. It may be that we need to have 2 steering committee meetings, in less than a month, and then nothing for a month or 2 while other activities are taking place. That doesn't mean that the number of steering committee meetings will only be 4 in the year, but it'll be a minimum of 4. They may be close together or spread out. Maybe 6 meetings that we decide we have to move forward and make sure that whatever we're recommending whatever is coming out of the committees gets approved by the steering committee so that the whole process moves forward. So, and then the other piece under section 4 is because of that flexibility and or the lack of continuity of having a steering committee meeting every month, that the responsibility for the strategy and the vision of moving forward with the campaign gets put over to the executive committee with the support of the steering committee in sense of approving whatever that comes out of the executive committee. And the executive committee will be using all of the other committees that we have to do the work. Because I don't think we intend to have the executive committee do all of the work that's necessary. So those are the only two, is changing the date, changing the allocation of the strategy and vision over to the executive committee, and changing the steering committee meetings to at least 4 times a year without it being every month on a specific date. I did highlight on the back, so this page, the front, section 1 through section 7 is the entire set of current bylaws. And I was just highlighting that to amend these, we needed a 2/3 majority of the entire membership. And that's whoever shows up at a meeting, who is a resident or owns a business or whatever, has the right to vote. We need 2/3 of that meeting to pass changes to the bylaws. And also that they needed to be distributed 14 days ahead of time, and both alternatives of amendments were done by 14 days ahead. So from our own bylaws, we're within the process of doing that. So I can either move this set of changes, or Chuck has an alternative.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to.
Sure.
Sure.
Sure. So let me give you a sense of why I have an alternative. I feel strongly that the association adhere to a governance strategy. And our governance, as it was presented way back 2 years ago, was that there was a steering committee elected across the various regions of Birch Bay. And that steering committee, because of the representation across the region, would then, receive committee reports, approve the committee reports, make suggestions. And if you look at the existing wording, that the executive committee, or sorry, the steering committee in the existing bylaws is responsible to represent the campaign to public entities and the media, and coordinate various activities across the committee, the other committees. I worry that the changes that Michael has proposed kind of supplant the governance structure that we have, changing it from coordinate to support the activities of the Incorporation campaign, and then allowing the executive committee to do all of the strategizing and the vision for the campaign. The word support means that you don't really have much leeway, right? I mean, if the committee comes up with something and the bylaws say we have to support it, we have to support it. So the governance structure seems to kind of be wildly diluted, I think, and at least in my view. I also wonder what the steering committee has to do in terms of presenting to the public. It was the steering committee at the that presented the report, I think, the feasibility study to the community. But we wouldn't be able to do that, I guess, in the future, because that would then, I don't know where that would fall, but it's been deleted in the other bylaw change. So I left that in, that I changed support to sustains. I said the steering committee would sustain the activities of the Incorporation campaign, because I think that is a little bit of a looser word, and it allows you to, make sure that things can move forward, but it doesn't automatically mean that you have to support everything that comes out. I left in the section that the steering committee represents the campaign to the public entities and the media. That actually doesn't make much of a change because the steering committee president is also on the executive committee. And so the steering committee president would actually be presenting the stuff from the steering committee in any case. I also put in a little bit of wording about what the steering committee does, which doesn't change anything really from what it currently does. I just said that it establishes all of the committees and is informed of the committee activities through committee reports that are presented at the steering committee meetings. So right now, that's what we do. The committee reports are presented. But I did add something that to me reaffirms the governance structure and the importance of the steering committee to be the governing body. And so what I said is, should a disagreement occur between a committee and the steering committee, that is, if a report comes in and the steering committee disagrees, the disagreement shall be resolved by respectful discussion and consideration of the respective committee's position, after which the steering committee's vote shall be binding. I think that's important because the steering committee has the membership that has been voted in from across the bay. I do think it's important that we have a smaller group that's in charge of vision and strategy. So I added an item A saying that the executive committee shall be primarily responsible for the strategy and vision of the campaign for incorporation. While reporting to the steering committee, they would present a report as they do now. The executive committee shall have wide latitude to advocate for incorporation and advance the incorporation process. So the executive committee, has wide latitude to do it. We'd be respectful of what they say. We would listen to the report. I really can't imagine that we would vote it down, but I think it's important in the bylaws to state that we have a governing structure. The steering committee receives a report, and if there's a disagreement, the steering committee is the governing body. So that's why I did the change. I have no problem with changing things to an annual meeting or the steering committee meeting 4 times a year instead of monthly. But it's the governing part in item 1 that I was concerned with.
Could I ask a question?
Absolutely, Jonathan.
Oh, so, well, I read both of these beforehand, and I recall the original email exchange where these were kind of presented, and I really found Chuck's concerns that he raised compelling. But I don't think, Michael, I don't think it's your intent to reduce the role of the steering committee and being the prime group. So my question is, because I think Chuck's language is trying to make it very clear that that's not what the intent is. What is it about this alternate language that where do you see the variance? Because I see these as almost implementing the same thing, with this having a little bit more language that kind of asserts the primacy of the steering committee. So I'd just love to hear what couldn't happen under this second that's important.
Nothing. I always operate from the KISS-KIF principle. Most people know what the KISS principle is, but
Simple, smart, or stupid.
yeah, I usually drop the second S. So so my KISS is KISKIF, and it's keep it simple, keep it flexible. The process that we've used in the last 2 years has served us well. By having a monthly steering committee meeting, we've been able to, progress through getting pressure on the county to have a study, to keep identifying issues that need to be studied, and moving forward in that sense. All the way through that, we've relied on the special committees and there was another sheet that was handed out that gives you the definitions of the steering committee officers, the chair, the vice chair, and the approved committees that we have worked under, including the executive committee and the communications committee and the research and feasibility and the finance committee. Those are all approved by the steering committee. I see no changes in that. So the thing that I'm looking for is the ability to move quickly. But when we come to a critical point of having to decide, for example, the first thing that we need to get done is to develop the notice of intent to incorporate. And that includes 5 items, as I recall: the name of the city, the type of the city, the type of the government, the boundaries. And what's the 5th one? I keep forgetting.
Oh, I have it.
Classification, did you get that?
Type,
Well, that's the type of
type,
city.
boundaries, name, inhabitants.
Population.
Population, yeah.
Yeah.
And that gets that's pretty heavy lifting that we've got to move through fairly quickly. And then once we have that, we need to come back to the steering committee to get it approved. It's not a function that the executive can do. All they're doing is setting out the strategy and the vision. Still need a steering committee to approve that is the notice of intent that we're going to take forward. So there's no diminishing of the steering committee's authority or responsibilities, other than it's just redefining so that we don't have to wait for a monthly meeting to start moving forward with some of these things. And there's no suggestion of changing any of the authorities of the different committees or the executive, which again has been approved a long time ago and we worked well under. So it's really just KISS-KIF is keep it simple, keep it flexible.
So if I could ask a follow-up question, because this is I have a background in philosophy, so I'm very comfortable with lots of words to explain some things. So
Oh, no.
it might be just a style difference.
You're
but-
just gonna throw down.
No,
and
no,
do-
no, no, no. I'm not going to quote Nietzsche or anything like that.
Thank you.
The question I have is, I think it just kind of builds on the point that I heard Chuck make, is a literal reading of the steering committee supports the activities of the incorporation campaign, and then following that the executive committee will set the strategy and vision of the campaign. If the executive committee sets a strategy and the steering committee doesn't, the members of the steering committee broadly don't support it, I don't think it's your intent to say the steering committee can't disagree with the executive.
Oh,
committee.
absolutely no.
So that's I think that's what really keyed me in on why what Chuck was saying resonated with me, because I think literally read our bylaws would say the steering committee couldn't disagree with the strategy or the vision that the executive committee has set. I don't think it'll ever happen also, so I don't feel like I'm too worked up over it. But
I think the executive committee and any other committee would feel kind of naked without support from the steering committee.
I know that's your intent, and I think that Chuck is calling out literally read and applied.
Yeah, I don't think we actually disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, all I've done is, I totally agree that we need some flexibility and we need the executive committee to set the vision and the strategy. All I've done is basically put in a sentence that says that it's gotta come, the report has to come and the steering committee has to either approve or disapprove it. And if there's a vote to disapprove it, then the steering committee vote holds. And that's, I don't know, it's an additional sentence, I guess, but it's not anything that would change what we expect to happen. I mean, I don't disagree with Michael's intent, and I think there is.
I have only one comment.
Yeah.
You gotta don't try to make this wordy, because people aren't gonna read it.
Well, people don't read bylaws today. But
You'll be surprised what they read.
Yeah.
Everybody's not stupid like you think they are.
I tend to like, but all of this is good, in my opinion. I do like Chuck's in that it aligns with a goal of mine, whether or not this language is added. I would like to do a better job of tasking committees, having them produce things, having the steering committee approve it. So it is nice. It would be nice to have it in writing there, but if it doesn't make it into the bylaws, then it's still something that we can try to do a better job of.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, intentions are great, and leadership sometimes changes. And so when something is written down, then when leadership changes, at least the bylaws have to be followed. Whereas, trying to do a better job is fine, but that doesn't actually put something in writing that says people have to do that.
It is actually in writing, if you read the working committee descriptions that were adopted by the steering committee. The executive committee shall, it's not can or, perhaps, shall be responsible for working with the county, state, and boundary review board. That was adopted. Be responsible for ensuring that committee reports are submitted to the steering committee in a timely manner, and when approved by the steering committee, to the BBIA members. Be a liaison between the steering committee and other committees. It's all clearly stated out in the committee responsibilities. And you can do that, you can look through the other, the communications committee responsibilities. You can get more definition by looking at the duties of the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. They're all quite well spelled out.
I certainly agree that it is more clear in the committee description. I think that's a really valid point, and I would suggest that those are subordinate to the bylaws.
Yes.
So the bylaws, if the committee's acted outside of that, you would look to the bylaws to say, do we follow our bylaws? So I hear you, yes, and which is why I know that it's not your intent, just like that, but it still, I don't think it satisfies if you're going back to the bylaws, still have that same challenge. But I'd vote for either, frankly, I'd vote for either of these, because I know your intent is not to, trample over the steering committee. So I don't feel that jazzed. I did find Chuck's.
If there's no other discussion.
I think you need to open discussion to the membership, because this is a
Yeah.
vote of the membership, not just the steering committee. The bylaws are approved by the general membership that is in attendance at the meeting.
Absolutely. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this?
All the yellow items on the sheet, on the first sheet, is that a change?
No, the yellow on the first sheet is just highlighting sections that are what I thought were pertinent. The changes are in red. And where a word is struck out, that was the original word. And where a red word is not struck out, that's an addition.
Good question. So the additions on Michael's proposed bylaw amendments are the as amended at the top. Then changing the association membership shall meet at least quarterly to annually. And there's several changes in section 4, steering committee meetings, and that's it there. Now, I'm not sure that the fairest way to do this, I suppose someone could put forth a motion to adopt all or part of one of these, and then we could do a separate motion to vote on adopting the other ones.
So I'll make a motion to adopt what I put in here, and the reason for that is it also spells out that the annual meeting is annually, and I think Chuck's is just a piece of that. So I'll put that out, and if Chuck wants to amend the amendment, make an amendment to the amendment on section 4A, is it? I guess it's 4A.
So I'd second your motion, and I think Rob's rules, I'd second, and then there could be a friendly amendment. Is that?
Friendly amendment for the wording that Chuck has in 1A.
Friendly means that I accept.
Yeah, right, you have to accept it, right. So
That's not likely gonna happen, but
Okay.
I do think, I don't know what Bob's rules say on that, but
I'd like to second
it can
the
be an
motion
unfriendly amendment.
I'd like to second the motion. I think we've had a lot of discussion, maybe there's more discussion, then we could take a vote, and then there might be another motion if it doesn't pass. I think that would be the procedure.
Well, or you could have a second amendment to amend just a certain section of it.
Right, so move to amend.
Did you just?
I don't know.
We've got a city attorney here.
Just muddy the water?
I haven't studied these.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, I can just,
Oh, now
the
we have
clock
an
is
attorney.
ticking now.
You seconded the motion.
I'm seconding because I think, let's have conversation and then take a vote and if, or, on it, or Michael's right, I guess under Bob's rules, there could be a motion to amend this and that would then start a different discussion of vote.
Yeah. I think that's the way.
The only thing I could
Yeah,
say
any
under
discussion.
Robert's rule of order, once something is put up, you can't go back and change something before that because you're violating the process. You gotta get your acts together before, otherwise Robert's rule of order is gonna say,
We'll work
Okay.
through it here, yeah. So, all right, there's been a motion and a second to approve Michael's set here. Any discussion? I did see Barney, you raised your hand.
My question, does it start the clock again if you're gonna accept some changes?
Ooh,
I think it does. I think if we say something that we haven't published for 14 days, I don't think we can adopt it.
No, I don't think so. I think you can make changes, like if you wanted to change a word or something in my proposal, I think it's acceptable at the meeting. I don't think you need 14 days for that.
If it was 14 days notice that we were going to change the bylaws, I'm not sure it was that the
Yeah.
specific language had to be published.
Let me,
It does?
it does say that it has to be the amendment,
Has
and
to
I will
be a
call out,
draft
I asked
of
this
the-
to be removed.
A draft of the proposed amendment.
We say we're gonna operate according to RCW 4230, and if we are, we cannot,
Did we say that?
we did, it's right up there. We are not an advisory body, so we shouldn't be, but anyway.
Well, there you go then.
What does
No
RCW
amendments.
4230
It's the
say?
Open Public Meetings Act.
Again, I think we vote on this. And then if Chuck wants to propose his change to, I think it would be 4A.
Yeah.
The numbering system you have, Chuck, is not consistent with the
Right.
bylaws.
Yeah.
So I think what you're suggesting, it would be
Right.
an amendment to 4A. Is that correct?
Right.
Any further discussion
So
on?
how do I do that?
After the vote on this, you would make another motion.
Oh, a motion to
So-
amend.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll discuss this, we'll vote on it, and then we'll entertain motions to amend these with Chuck's if the first passes or fails. But this could override this if we want to adopt all of this is the way that I understand it.
That's it.
Ah.
My only problem is the coordinates versus support. I'll just comment on, but that could be solved by adding Chuck's into this after. So,
You mean the sustains instead of coordinates?
Yeah, do we
Yeah.
say the word sustains?
Happy to change that word.
So is that, but we can't do that
Well,
within this.
Is there any, let's close out this
Okay.
motion and then any other discussion here before we take a vote? All right, seeing none. So a vote to amend our bylaws require 2/3 vote of the membership. There are, double check my counting, 18 in the room, 17 signed in. So we need 12 for.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Is it, you got 18?
18
Yep.
total in the room, 17 signed in on the thing, so
Only 17 signed in.
signed in here.
Did anybody not sign in that wants to sign in?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You signed in.
I did.
We'll do this. Here, I'll bring it back here. I just needed it.
Oh, it was already up here,
And you
right?
make it a nice, easy
Now-
divisible number, so.
12,006, so 13.
Yeah, so I suppose technically, 13 we
13.
need now.
Yeah,
13,
13
okay.
passed.
That would be two.
All righty. All in favor of,
Could you
Just-
restate what the motion?
so the motion is to approve the bylaw amendments proposed by Michael, and it's a 2-page document, double-sided document here. And we'll do it by a show of hands. All in favor of approving the amendments? Double checking my counting, Michael.
I haven't been to.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, so The motion
13.
carries.
Can you do again
Any-
and
Yeah.
neutrals?
Any against? 2,
3,
okay.
Four.
Any
is
abstentions?
there 4?
There was
4, pardon.
I actually, I meant to vote against it, but. Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah, I
You can do
did,
that.
sorry. I
Five?
was not paying attention.
So 12,
Four-
5 against.
13,
So there
Four.
shouldn't be any neutral.
5 against. There are no, well, there could be.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that means the motion failed. I think we
I
needed
know.
over 12.
Yes, we have
Got
13.
Oh, we did get 13.
We got 13, 4 and 5 against. That's 18.
Jonathan changed it, didn't that change it?
No, he didn't.
He wasn't part of the 13.
Part of the 13.
No,
Okay.
no.
Can we just raise the hands again, just to make sure that we've got this correctly?
The 4.
For the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 13, okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
So can I move then, for a point of order, can I move to adopt Chuck's amendment as essentially,
Replacing
it
4A.
would be replacing 4A, is that?
That would be this one here,
Yes.
Right.
So I would make that motion.
okay? Is there a second?
Second.
Nice.
I think you can second, yeah. Patrick second.
Patrick, thank you. All right, discussion?
We had
Jonathan, you want?
I mean, I've talked a lot. For the reasons I've already stated, I think this is a really nice addition to Michael's post amendments as well.
Any other
I
discussion?
might ask, we're actually transporting part of Chuck's into the main body, which is Mike's. Do we know exactly what we're transporting? I'm not clear.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, I know that's one.
it's the yellow portion that's called 1, and then A is going to replace section 4A.
So
The whole thing.
rather than,
All of 4A, but 4B, 4C, 4D stay the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
And we will renumber this as 4A and 4A1.
Yeah.
So-
4AI.
just to be absolutely clear, in the now, pardon me, amended bylaws, we have the steering committee supports the activities of the corporation campaign. The executive committee will be responsible for the strategy and vision of the campaign for incorporation. And we'd be expanding it to that statement there. Just a little more. All right, any other discussion before we take a vote?
And just to clarify, you had no, the annual
No, that's all
thing
fine.
is okay, and I
Yep.
see you've got the 4 times
Right.
here, so.
Yep. Alrighty, all in favor of approving the addition of this to the bylaws under section 4 steering committee A, please raise your hand if you're a yes. We have 13 again.
I think so.
Any against? Said one. And then it's, all right, motion carries.
So I'm sorry, there's 4 abstentions, is that correct?
Looks like.
Yeah, that would be the math there, I believe. All right, well, thank you. That was a little tricky, but we got through it. It worked. Now. Share. Yeah, we have an unfinished business section in this agenda. I don't know if there is any. Don't have anything that we need to revisit. We can move on to new business. All right. So we do have, moving on to new business, we've got a handout. You wanna distribute this?
To preface the handout,
Grab one. Sure. Yeah, go for it.
I have a motion I'd like to make, and the motion is that the BBIA move to an advocacy position for incorporation.
Did I say that again? I'm sorry.
That the BBIA move to an advocacy position for incorporation. based on our studies and reports and where we are
Second that.
All right,
And that was the position.
position on incorporation.
and this motion, since it's not a bylaw amendment, would just be extended.
Yep.
Thing, any discussion?
And you say,
What would that entail?
Well, you know, if we aren't, I'm not sure that there's much more meetings to
point
be
that-
had, and you know, the situation with the revisions to the bylaws really, were to enhance that efficacy of work moving forward. And I think, the committee assignments that we're gonna discuss next have to do with how we move forward. And if we're not moving forward with advocating for incorporation, there, in my mind, isn't a whole bunch for our group to do, and we should all be putting our efforts to the BBCAC instead.
Yeah.
So that's my thought.
and I think it is consistent with our bylaws. If you read the statement of purpose, it says, if found feasible, advocate for incorporation to give residents of Birch Bay more direct control over the future of their community. And it says BBI will accomplish this by, should a feasibility study and sense of Birch Bay residents be positive, to advocate for and advance the incorporation process through a citizen initiative. So it's consistent with our bylaws. I think it's a reasonable thing to reaffirm that we've reached that point. It pretty much implies that that the membership agrees that the additional studies that we've done identify more than one financially feasible alternative. And therefore we should move into an advocacy. So I would certainly support it.
Yeah.
And just to sum up, it doesn't say we are incorporating. What we're doing at this point forward is bringing it to the public, bringing it to our community, giving them the knowledge of what we feel, why we're feasible, like you said, to give them that information so that the public, the voting public of Birch Bay can go yes or no. That's where we're at.
Would you like to tie it to this document, or
No.
discuss that separately?
No, this is a totally standalone. I think it reinforces that everybody agrees that that's where we're going. And if you don't agree, then you might want to resign from the steering committee. Because you're just going to be wasting your time. I think that's basically.
Any other discussion?
Well, I would vote for that motion, but I don't think that people need to resign if they disagree. I think that disagreement and discussion is valuable.
I agree.
Yeah, here.
Alrighty, if there's no further discussion, we'll take it to a vote of the steering committee. All in favor of adopting the motion, which would be to move to an advocacy position. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
So that's 9 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. I could have said in advance, but.
All right, can we talk about this?
Could I do, are we still in new business? Could I do?
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
We have-
All right, well, this is new business too, I guess, so it doesn't matter when. But I've been thinking about the comment that was made in the public comment section, and so I would like to move that we prepare a 2-page executive summary
I like that.
that can be presented to the community and widely distributed with the omission of mentions of new cities.
I missed what you said.
With the omission by including the omission of mentions of new cities.
Okay.
I can talk about that if you.
And
So I want to clarify that. You're saying don't include the analysis of how other.
Well, there was no
communities are-
analysis, but yeah, I would do that.
I need to expand on it because I did the analysis. Well, because we looked at all the new cities incorporated since 1991, and we looked at their
Was there
levy
something?
rate versus the unincorporated
Right.
community surrounding them. Is that, so what the claim we're making is that based off of that analysis, that a certain percentage, more than half, I think it was 80-some% of them had lower tax rates than the unincorporated areas. Are you saying we should not include? I mean, I'm fine if we don't want to include that.
Right.
I want to understand the basis.
Um,
I'm not gonna be offended if you disagree with the methodology as well.
No, the methodology was fine. I don't want to, I like most of the feasibility study that we did, and I think the scenarios are great. And I don't really, in a public forum, want to talk about why I think that the analysis of new cities is inappropriate. But I will say only that I don't think that the feasibility study, I mean, it was a feasibility study of financial resources. And the analysis of new cities was really never discussed, I think, by the steering committee or anyone really in some depth. And I think there's a real question about whether or not those new cities are doing well or not. And that soundbite that has the levy rates, Birch Bay has the highest levy rate other than one on that chart. So if you take the average of that chart and project that out into what our tax rate would be, it would be the second highest. So, I mean, that's fine. I just don't buy into the new cities argument. I don't think it matters. I mean,
To be clear, I'm not opposed to omitting it. I was just curious. So, yeah.
Well, for example, let's
Yeah,
say it would have been the other way. Let's say that it would have come out with
Because
there's no, like, all of the new cities failed. I would say that that's irrelevant too, because what's relevant are the four scenarios. I don't really care what the other cities do. We are our own entity and we can make it on our own. I don't care what they do.
I'm sorry to interject,
Yeah.
but this is discussion that should take place after a second. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Oh, I thought we
Okay,
had.
thank you, Michael.
I guess I want to clarify what the question that analysis was trying to answer was specifically, do they have higher tax rates than their surrounding county?
Right.
And we had a broader analysis of, we actually looked at every city in Washington. And the conclusion was new cities tended to have lower tax rates than the surrounding incorporated areas. But as when you look at the whole of all cities, they tend to have higher tax rates than incorporated areas. So I'm totally fine with omitting it. I think it answered the question we asked.
Lisa had her hand up and then.
I think
Michael
you're right.
had her hand up.
I'm getting a headache.
just as I love the idea and it was always the intention to create additional documents should we be moving forward. And I think that personally, I'd invite everybody to be a part of that. And I think what's included, would come out of that committee work and people who are at the table to do it. And so if there's a specific data point to not include, to have in this vote, I'm not sure. I guess that's where I am with it. I think that, yes, we should create a simpler document.
Okay.
I don't know, we need to be specific about.
All right,
One
so could I just, since it's my motion,
Yep.
let me withdraw that tagline. And because I think you're right, Lisa, I didn't think of it that way. I mean, somebody will write that summary and then there should be discussion and we can make the
Yeah.
points then. So,
Any changes? we
so
want to.
my amended motion would be simply to create a 2-page executive summary that can be widely distributed.
Good.
Thank you.
Michael, do you support that amendment?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My
Sorry.
comment is, I've worked on a 2-page summary. Trust me, anything we can leave out, we're happy to do. All right.
I imagine this is something we would be tasked with, communication would be tasked with, and they would do this, bring it to the steering committee.
Yeah.
I think it is.
As a seconder, and as somebody that had my hand up after,
Thank you, Michael.
if I can just,
Lay my head.
if I can just add. I happen to agree with Chuck on this. It's an unusual situation. I realize.
Very much.
And, you know, I mean, the simple thing is that, cities that have incorporated have done okay, they've done well. A bigger factor to me is that no cities have unincorporated.
That's right.
They've never said, we give up, you know, want to go back to being a part of the county. In a 2-page summary, I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
I can talk about that if I'm out campaigning. The 4 scenario comparison is the critical part. The as I forget who had suggested the idea, the reason as to why we did it when CAI is out there is the critical part.
Right.
That takes up 2 pages.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like the 2-page idea. Now, my headache. You
Is
know,
this
for years.
relevant to the motion?
That,
Is this
Relevant
relevant
to
to
the
the motion?
motion.
Is this relevant to the motion?
naturally,
Okay.
because the idea of which cities would be making it or which ones wouldn't. For years, when people tax, I love to go out and when they vote, find out what areas voted for and what areas voted against. We're gonna be facing a tax deal on the fire district. Well, when that happens, whether it passes or not, I will go through and I'll look at each precinct that voted. And what I find consistently is the precincts that are living in areas of communities that is dense enough to have sewers, vote for stuff. And when they don't have sewers, they vote against stuff. Okay, be nice.
Whose phone's going off right now?
Somebody's on silent, but
Okay.
vibrating.
Jan, you had.
Just one, I would hope the committee would trust the communications department to make this a consumer-friendly language
Yes.
document.
Very true.
Philosophers and data hounds, you have to live with that. Because it has to be simple and consumer friendly.
All right. So no further discussion. Can you restate the amendment, just refresh us? Or pardon, restate the motion. Chuck? I can
I
try
move that
this.
we create a 2-page executive summary that can be widely distributed.
All right.
Of the BBIA study.
Yes, of the BBIA study.
All right. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Thank you. And
Somebody's
So
phone's
now-
going off, it's not mine.
Pat, is that your phone?
Mine's in my truck, so I.
can we get to the actual thing that was on the agenda in the new business?
Yeah, so committee assignments, and this is great. I'm really happy with how this meeting's going. It's
All right,
what we need to be doing. Committee assignments, Michael, you brought this to us. You want to talk about this a little bit?
So in the executive committee that Matt described, we had talked about what are our next steps. We need to get moving forward because we've been kind of treading water for the last 3 or 4 months trying to rectify the CIA study and then get I'm glad we have an affirmation that we're going through with advocacy. That kind of sets our stage. So the issue was what is next? And the next thing is to put a notice of intent in front of the boundary review board. And there's 5 elements to that. The name of the city, and I think I haven't heard anybody say anything but Birch Bay. Port of Birch Bay.
I love
Could be
Bay Village, but.
I think it's taken. I think it's taken.
Yeah, and
So-
half the other area wouldn't like that at all.
So again, I think the idea is that these elements come back to the steering committee for approval, but we need to get somebody working on them because there's some of them that are kind of tricky. The name of the city is pretty straightforward. I think communications is the right committee to banter that one about and see if there are any other alternatives. The boundaries require a legal description, so it's not just a plan that shows an outline. You have to have the absolute legal, west by 3/4 of a of a mule and all that kind of stuff. So that would be a logical thing, I think, for the research committee. We may have to do a contract on it to get it done. The type,
Right.
beg
You
your
want the legal description to be exactly correct.
Yes.
So, yes.
The type of city, I think, again, would sit with research to identify for the committees and for the steering committee, what types of cities there are and why they would recommend.
It's a code city, clear as the nose on your face.
So we don't even need to do these, we'll just,
Yeah.
we need to have a discussion.
Right, yep.
And a process so that people don't say, you know, somebody shoved this
Yeah,
on us. And then the type of government, there's several different types of government. I've always known them as strong mayor or manager is the basic two types. I don't know if there are others. I think that needs to be researched and a recommendation made of what we would think Birch Bay should be. And then finally, the number of residents, and I think it means voters, doesn't it?
Registered voters.
yeah.
Registered voters has to be, and I think somebody's already
We've all.
tried to tackle that, and it's not gonna be easy, so we may have to run a contract.
No, that's not the thing we're having trouble on. It's
Oh,
the legal
The
description.
legal
the-
description.
And then the addresses if we want,
Just
but
all the.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
part of the voters then,
No,
the
they'll-
addresses?
no, they'll give you that.
Oh, okay.
No big deal.
We have that.
By precincts.
That one we've got.
It
We have
it
that
still
already.
requires that probably a meeting of the research and
Yeah.
capability committee, at least a meeting to figure that out.
I did it once.
Make
Or
it
confirm
statement.
it,
Or
to
make a
be
statement.
able
And then
to
to
document
Yeah.
where the information came
that we
from
can
and bring it. So
move it
all that
forward.
needs to come back, I suspect, to the next steering committee meeting, whenever we get this work done, whether it's in 2 weeks or 2 months. Call a steering committee meeting to, you know, verify that that's the direction that BBA wants to go.
Michael, working backwards, is there a drop dead? I mean, there are gotta be some drop deads and, you know, deadlines that we work backwards from, rather than
Well, we
saying,
have
"I need a month to do this."
It's really not our work that slows us down. It's gonna be Whatcom County's work.
Okay.
It's gonna slow us. And we have no idea what their timeline is.
It's gonna be our work too.
Yeah.
The notice of intent is the first piece that we have to get done. We can't do anything else,
And then
Jan.
it has a deadline, right? That has
No,
its
there's
own,
no deadline.
No,
before a voting period? No.
no, you just have to.
There's,
There
I
will
make
be,
a friendly suggestion to this, because this timeline question is really important. And since we've moved into advocacy mode, there are certain elections, we do want this issued before the borders, and certain elections, we do not want this issued before the borders. And higher turnout is election you want before the borders, and you want to make sure you're not in the middle of a recession when you bring this to the voters. Those are two really important things. So I would ask that we table timeline, maybe have a conversation at either communications or executive committee about that, and then come back to answer that question, because I think if we answer it now, it might be a little too ad hoc.
can I speak to that a little bit? I understand that reasoning. My, I guess, disagreement with that is there are timelines to, you issue a notice of intent to incorporate. Within 30 days, the county is to hold a public hearing within the proposed boundaries, then begins a petition process, and we've got 6 months to gather the signatures of 10% of the registered voters within the proposed city boundaries. Then it goes before the boundary review board. The boundary review board can, I think by law, can take up to 6 months, but generally they're granted as much time as they're needed, is what I read on MRSC. Does that align with kind of your experience? How long
Yes.
does the BRB take? Dover Hall.
It takes what it takes.
That's kind of my point is, I wouldn't mind getting this thing moving. It's kind of like when I built my house, is I had a timeline. The county had a different timeline. The county's timeline is the one that worked out, so
Your
I-
wife had a different.
we can try to time this, we tried to time this for 2027, and then the county delayed the study for 6 months, remember, it had to be reapproved. And then, we had to respond and all this. I'm almost of the opinion of, let's just get the ball rolling, and it's gonna take what it takes. I don't know, I think if we go, we're gonna shoot for this one because this is most optimal. then there, we might meet resistance.
We might, but if we, I will, I mean, I hear you, it's a valid point, but if we go and we just push this and you're gonna put it on a timeline that the county controls. And, you know, they're very smart people that they
It's
wouldn't
not
run
the
the
county
county if
that
they weren't.
controls.
Well, the boundary review board is
Yeah.
gonna be influenced by the county, it's appointed
Oh,
by
is
the
it?
county
Right.
commissioners, and so they then have a motive to have their process align this to be on the midterm election, you know, next year. And that is, you know, more likely to be, I'm not an economist, more likely to be in a recession than we are now, and also gonna have lower voter
I'm
turnout.
sorry, which midterm election next
There's
year?
only one that,
After the presidential election, so sorry, a year from,
2 years from now.
A year from November.
The new election is
thinking,
till 28.
I'm sorry,
2 years.
we
from
we
I'm
want, we
looking
want
at
it to be on, we want it to be on the
2027.
year there's the presidential election.
We do?
2 years from now.
28.
On it on 28th.
Yeah, so so if it is this year, that's fine, because you've got a bunch of Congress being congressional seats up, so that's a higher turnout election. Next year, after this election, is going to be a lower turnout election, because you won't have a bunch of federal positions there. So I'm saying, if we advance this now, we put it into the county's bucket to meet that timeline. It would be in their interest to place it then. It's more likely to fail. Counter
I'm
argument, what
sorry,
I'm saying,
in their interest to place it when?
on the election that will fail, the
27.
27 election.
There's no way we're gonna make the 2027 election because of the processes that need to take place before you get it on the ballot. I think
There's at
the
least a
cutoff for being on the November 2027 election is August, 2 months from now.
Yeah.
And there's more to take place between.
That's no, it'd be August of
That's
Yeah, he
2026.
2027
for the
for the 2027 election.
part, I'm thinking of it, yeah.
Yeah.
26,
We've got
yeah,
time.
yeah.
This
We
is
can
what I'm
talk about
saying,
it, but
we need a bigger
let's,
conversation.
yeah, it is a
Yeah.
bigger conversation, and if we do
Strategy
need to.
needed.
Can I guess, would we be open to tasking, say, research and feasibility to discuss timeline and these items?
Or the executive committee, I don't know that it needs to be.
I think the
research.
executive committee is more appropriate for
That's
time,
like a strategy
For
thing.
timeline,
for timelines.
Okay.
Yeah.
that works.
Might be good if we actually knew who's on the research and who's on what committee.
That was, once we had.
Let's get-
Once we get these sort of assignments identified, those committees have kind of fallen by the wayside, so we need to reconstitute them and encourage people to get involved. This list was just really to get to that draft notice of intent, but at the same time, we do need to start rebuilding the community support plan, and that sort of addresses your comment. That is, I think, the communications committee responsibility, and whether we go back to doing HOA presentations. I think we're pretty successful. Didn't do them all, but I know that Birch Bay Village is asking, so what's going on?
Mhm.
We already have some indications like that, so we know how they work a little bit better, that their annual meetings are at such and such a time, and if we're going to go for those instead of, separate meetings. I think that's something that communications can set up a program there. Eventually, we're going to have to collect the signatures for the notice, and what was it?
And you-
It was 10% of the.
You put that on the communication.
I did.
thing. No.
Oh.
I think it should be everybody.
Oh,
It should be.
communications
Yeah, steering committee.
has to be the lead on
It's
it.
part of the
It's-
planning for it.
It's
Right,
it's
not
setting up.
doing it.
Yeah.
Right,
No, it's setting up the
Okay.
process of, do you have a ward in Birch Bay Village with 10 people that are responsible for gathering 108 signatures and so on and so forth. I think communications needs to set up that program. And then finally to submit the notice of intent, have the completed notice, and I don't know how you validate the signature.
The signatures would occur after a notice of intent.
That's down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
so this isn't, yeah, this is,
This is a good timeline.
Yeah. it just things that need to happen,
Yeah,
so.
and you can put in whatever target dates. Fixed dates don't work, but target dates are good. They help sort of keep you in line and going. budget and funding. You know, particularly if we're gonna have to do some contract work for the legal description. I don't know what that's going to cost, but we need to think about that under finance committee. I don't know what communications committee might come up with in terms of their needs for printed materials or ways of getting the word out. I don't know if surveys are part of it or what. We'll see when they come back with the program. So that's what I sort of had in mind for 2026. You know, the next 6 months is to get that stuff moving, and I was just sketching out. Well, what comes next is once you've got that rolling, then you got a ballot measure, and it's not just getting it on the ballot; it's getting out there and campaigning for it. So,
Carolyn, you have a question?
A question, the first thing I attended was that barbecue you had. And that was really fun, that was really wonderful. I think that at some point, maybe before winter, maybe we could have another one.
Oh, yeah.
And try to get more people.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
You could invite those people.
I think it's their
next door
kickoff
for
signature
directly
campaign.
To specifically invite these people. I think it's important.
It's a great suggestion. The BP Heron Center isn't expensive to rent. You do have to pay for parking to go there, but that's definitely a good idea for maybe July or August, when people would rather be outside than in a meeting. I like it.
Are we doing anything at the Birch Bay events
Yes.
as we used to? Or
Well, we tabled it until we knew where we are
Oh,
here.
We can talk about that now too, but
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be.
We do have the
Let's-
parking.
So the concept here of the committee assignments was just try to get what's needed right away to get this ball rolling. Otherwise, we're just going to drag our asses into the end of the year and have nothing accomplished. When I was laying out this table, I thought, you know, do we need a new committee? Do we need an advocacy committee, or, you know, get out the signature committee or whatever? And I felt under the descriptions that we currently have under the committees that have been adopted already, I think they fit. But I'm open if somebody wants to, you know, create a new committee. We just need to get it approved by the steering committee. And what their definitions are and so forth. And then if we don't, or if we do, then we need to populate these committees with some people, I think particularly executive, are getting a little worn out.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
All's good.
Can
right?
I double checked Robert's rules of order to make sure this is okay, but would you permit me to make a motion?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can I motion that we task, I guess, the items under 1, draft notice of intent, to the committees listed here? I think communications has some stuff to work on with the 2-page document. They might as well task them with name of the city. Task, I'll try to simplify it. Motion that we agree as a group to task these responsibilities to these committees here, with the addition of executive committee to work on a timeline to present at the next steering committee meeting. And last, I think we need to hire Bob to help with the items B, C, D, boundaries type to city and government.
Can you make that 2 motions, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, we're adopting.
we'll get there.
Can we just adopt the 2026 list and leave the 2027?
Well,
float?
I wouldn't adopt the entire
Oh, okay.
2026 list here, because the notice of intent and the signatures is just a little, I think it's a little out of order, and I
Yeah.
think we could,
Okay,
let's start with drafting a notice of intent using research from research and feasibility.
okay, so that's number 1,
Basically,
but plus the
proceed with number
timeline.
1 plus
Plus
the
the
work on timeline in the executive committee, with the goal of discussing these at the next steering committee meeting.
Okay.
I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on that? Thank you, Jonathan. Lisa.
other than discussing on number 2, just remove validated signatures out of there completely, because collecting signatures, that comes way after collecting signatures, so.
Yeah, my motion is just, let's take number 1.
We're
Yeah.
not talking about the rest
Yeah,
of it.
and then we'll
Just
revisit
setting
the
up the
rest of
draft
this
notice.
Yeah.
after we've taken care of number 1.
And we have that list of the.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Well, good. That gives some work then to research, communications, and the executive committee. I think the best way to handle, I guess, if you're at the meeting now and after the meeting, you're a steering committee member or an attendee and you would like to be a part of one of these committees, let me know and I'll reconfigure the Google Groups email so that you are notified of meetings. But I'll also send out an email saying to the folks who missed this meeting on the steering committee, what committees would you like to be a part of? So we make sure everybody's on the list. That work for people?
Who's head of research?
Good luck.
Chuck told me he really wanted another turn.
I do need to know.
We'll handle that at the next research and feasibility meeting. They'll elect their chair
And let me know.
and work on these.
Matt?
Absolutely.
Before you make your next motion about hiring Bob, can I offer a friendly suggestion? I really love the idea of getting Bob engaged and advising on this, but I do not think Bob's the person to advise on campaign strategy. So if we're going to hire Bob, I would like that scope to be separate from and a strategy that informs a campaign. And I think we should separately solicit a experienced in Whatcom County campaign operator to consult and give us some general advice on at this stage, even on how we advance this.
Okay,
I'm just writing it down.
so my motion would be hire Bob in the amount of $500, up to $500 to
Yeah.
help us with the type of city,
The step.
type of government and boundaries, the basically step 1 in there. So he would attend
You
the,
can help, oh.
yeah,
okay,
he would
boundaries.
attend the research meeting and advise on those 3
Mhm.
questions.
Can you do this for boundaries?
Boundaries is the hard one, yeah.
Does he have expertise in boundary? I mean, legal descriptions of boundaries?
Well, I mean, ultimately, the decision would come to the research and feasibility. I would be interested in his opinion, I guess. But
Wouldn't a title it was naive of me, but wouldn't it just
Did
be
you
a title?
finish your motion and get it
that was
second?
that was my motion.
Oh,
Is there a second?
second.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Now
No discussion, yeah, so
Bob will, I mean, it's $500, but $500, we're gonna get plenty of value out of Bob.
Yeah.
He can give us some advice on that, but I think he's probably not the one that's gonna write the legal
Okay.
description.
Well,
I'm
no,
happy.
no.
No, he's
No,
not.
sorry.
He's
The
not
motion is
ready.
just to advise us on
Doing it.
what areas to include,
Thank you.
go with the UGA, this or that. For the writing a legal description, I think we need to hire there is a handbook I found on MRSC's website, and I don't know if this is stuff we can discuss at research, what all is required, but it has to be stamped by a certified
Exactly,
surveyor.
right.
And I've started discussions with someone on that, but yeah. Lisa, you get your hand up.
yes, because I think the broader issue for me with boundaries is, are we sticking with the boundaries that we, are we sticking with the girl we came with here or what,
UGA.
with the UGA and well,
Is it the
it morphed.
UGA or?
It was the 2008 boundaries and then it morphed to the UGA
Yeah.
currently,
Yeah.
right? And the question is, are we keeping that or are we
Because it's
gonna
been
discuss
extended.
lopping off, Point Whitehorn or any other area? And that, before we write a legal description, we need to know that. And
So that's the
that-
job
that's
of
part
the
of the
research
job up
committee,
here is
yeah.
to come back, research to say it's a good idea or not, or we're just gonna go for it or whatever. So I don't think anything's cut in stone with what we're talking about here. That's,
Yeah, basically the motion is, we've already.
Yeah.
Tasking them with these discussions and then, but this current motion is hiring Bob Jean to help us. And research with research's duties.
And he's actually, it's time for him to get 500 anyway.
Yeah, we don't. Somebody,
Yeah.
but.
I think it's fine giving them $500 and stuff. I just don't think that he is gonna be much help with boundaries.
No.
I mean, I'm not talking about the
Okay.
legal description, I'm talking about boundaries in general,
Yeah.
because to figure out the boundaries, somebody on these committees is gonna have to call people on the boundary review board and, you know, figure out the lay of the land and stuff. He's not making phone calls and stuff. He's just gonna basically go, you know, sure, you know.
No, and the boundaries, it's gonna be basically where the boundaries of people, where people, property owns. Has, it's all there, it's the county has it.
If, it'll be up to research and then it'll come
Yeah.
before the steering committee.
Yeah.
All right,
Big job for them.
any other discussion? All right, all in favor of hiring Bob Dean in the amount of up to $500 to help us with those items?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. It's 7:25, so we are getting close to.
So I really think it's important that we get a motion considered about identifying and hiring that,
That's
essentially a campaign
strategist.
campaign expert or campaign consultant.
Do you know somebody? You have
It
somebody in
needs,
mind?
it needs to be someone who's done it in Whatcom, so no, I don't. I've
The
got plenty of
person in
people.
the fire district is hired.
Oh, let's wait on that,
Yeah.
please.
No?
Trust me. No.
Okay.
not-
Yeah.
Let's just in principle say, you know, and I'm happy to put out an RFP or make some calls and bring back some candidates. I would just like off authority to do that. I think it's really important at this stage that we just get a little bit of time from someone that.
Yeah. I think it's important. I think we're probably off from it a little bit, and the ones here in Whatcom County are busy on some local
Yeah.
issues right now. And I also think we need to look at how we're gonna fundraise and budget, because we are gonna be on fumes quickly.
I'll pay for this for a few hours of their time. Like I really just want us to get some first blush guidance.
Do we want to make a motion to authorize Jonathan to go do this, or are we just okay with?
What?
Make a motion.
Well, I mean, do we even need
So
to
move,
move
yeah.
it?
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I'll second.
okay,
Yeah, it's great. Just
All right.
know we need a motion
Okay,
for that.
so
any?
give me some simple words in a motion.
I move that we solicit proposals or solicit candidates for a campaign consultant. And I just would like authority to go out there and I'll bring candidates back to you.
Okay,
And yeah, thanks for bringing it through the process.
I thought of that, that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Good job, Jonathan. All right, we have some work to do. Is there anything else, or would someone like to vote for the adjourn?
I'll make that movement.
I second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent meeting, good job, thank you.
Good job, yeah.
You're the last one.
You were the public out.
Thank you, sir.
See you on the block.